Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another episode of the one and only and not so lonely Crush It with Creativity podcast with your host, Ghosh. What is that we crush in this podcast? Well, anything that poses itself as an obstacle on your path to step into your field of favor gets crushed in this Crush It with Creativity podcast. So brace yourself for an exciting episode and keep crushing it with your creativity. This is Joy Ghosh.
Hello, my friend. This is Joy Ghosh, and welcome to the Crush It with Creativity podcast. As the world opens up from an unprecedented event that crippled the planet, decimated personal, business, and national economies, and paralyzed the global economy, the winds of change and transformation are here up on us in this new economy 2.0. A new currency is poised to emerge in this new economy 2.0 out of the ashes of unemployment, job losses, business shutdown, and financial meltdown. This globally tradable currency is not paper or metallic. This currency is not even digital. It is actually organic. And you, my friend, you own loads of it, and that too free and clear, just by being born a human, the dominant species on this planet. Now, before I go on in this first podcast in the Crush It with Creativity series, let me explain what qualifies me to even share this information with you. You have probably never heard of me. Yes, I have been operating in my own small world for the last 30 years, working with some amazing fortune-grade clients across 4 continents as a business and technology innovation consultant. You may say I was in hibernation, away from the public eye, when my epiphany moment after these 30 years made me choose to pivot to what I will be doing possibly for the rest of my life. In a bit, you will know, and more importantly, understand why that may be of significant importance to you. I share this information with you not to brag or toot my horn, since none of that will help you one teeny tiny bit. I share this information with you out of sheer respect and admiration for you and the fight that you are perhaps fighting right now in your life. My objective for sharing this information with you is that perhaps the equity of practical knowledge that I have gained over the last 30 years in business, technology, innovation, inventions, wantrpreneurship, and entrepreneurship may serve you in these most trying times in the history of mankind. Through my work, my amazing clients across 4 continents have witnessed breakthroughs in their business, in their operations and profitability, year after year, expanded their service and product portfolios, exploded their customer base, added millions of their local currency to their bottom line, and increased their footprint in their markets. I have remained highly wanted and sought after for the last 28 of these 30 years of my expertise, regardless of what their business did or did not do, regardless of what the economy did or did not do. But it was not like that all the way. I had stumbled, I had faltered, I had freaked out at times. There were times when I was afraid, very afraid of what was lurking around the corner in my life. And you may find me being vulnerable at times when I describe these periods of my life, these trying periods when I had reached rock bottom, when I had become complacent, when I had let my guard down. But I triumphed out of those most difficult times. It was hard as I built my foundation on the bedrock and built it up. There were times when in severe desperation I had cried out, "Why me?" But then I went back to a skill that I had learned almost by sheer happenstance and accident over 28 years ago. A skill that I had applied over and over again, year after year, successfully, to achieve wealth and the fame and success beyond my wildest imaginations. Instead of "why me," I had chose to demand, "try me." And I had gotten back on track. But I'm not here to tell you my sob story. I'm here to tell you my fight story. A story where I'm winning. And you, my friend, can too. Quite honestly, now that I look back, there were no sob stories. Those trying situations were there in my life to kick me in my pants and get me back on track with my life, and for which I am eternally grateful. There were a few occasions in my career when one by one my clients let other consultants leave the project, but continue to retain my services. And there were other situations where I was hired in for just 3 months, and I continued to serve the same client for several years, continuously, delivering value and growing their business. No, there were none of those friendship with benefits involved here. My expertise that I will share with you was, and still is, a rare skill set for their business. I will share with you exactly why they made that choice to retain me, how I had made myself so valuable to them, how I had prevailed when other colleagues were let go to pursue other opportunities in their respective careers. So I appreciate your attention to my message, and I can promise you, this information will pay you off in spades, should you choose to follow through and take action. It does not matter what your core competency is, your background, where you live, or what you do for a living. The new currency that I am referring to is actually not new to me. I've invested it, I've rinsed it, repeated it over and over again for the last 28 years, and every time it paid off rich dividends and continues to do so without fail. In my opinion, this is somewhat of an unwritten law that governs human consciousness. And the best part? You and I, and every human, we all own that currency in infinite amounts, and that too free and clear. And once you become aware of this asset, you will realize why it has weathered every storm in my life and how you can learn to tap into this amazing ability, how you too can prosper and thrive in this new economy, weather every storm that comes upon you. So, here goes. I'm pulling that trick out of my hat and sending it your way. Perhaps it will find a home in your life and deliver for you, just like it has done for me for 28 years. Barring 1 year when I had lost my focus, had become complacent, and had been taking life for granted. Well, enough said. Let me get this out to you now. The what? A problem statement. Pardon me if I come across a little in the face. It is absolutely not my intention to be patronizing. Let's talk as adults, committed to make a difference in our lives and figure out how to fall forward. As I convey my message, know that I am listening to the message myself and I am taking action myself. Recently, perhaps, you found that your job or the job of a friend or a loved one being declared redundant, leading to your termination or a furlough by an employer, leaving the employee without the income that they and their family had been dependent on. Was everyone in the X company let go of their position and income? Some jobs were retained, right? Why do you think that X employer chose to retain some specific individuals and cut others off? This is not an emotional question, my friend. And in that honest answer lays the hidden truth that I will explain shortly. And the reason may shock you. My intention, however, is not to shock you by any stretch of imagination, but to impress upon you the solution that lays hidden in that seemingly unfair action that an employer might have taken. Is there a way this can never ever happen to you? Yes. And you will be in control, as you will know shortly. If you are a business owner, perhaps you watched helplessly as your business had to shut its doors, as customers stayed away, consequently drying up the revenue stream for your business. The customers still needed your products and services, right? But they chose to stay away and perhaps seek other alternatives to meet their needs. Essentially, your customers had some sort of other fallback option to meet their needs. Unless, of course, you were the only show in town. I know. It is a hard one to swallow. But why do you think some businesses continue to operate or even prospered even more as if nothing had happened to them, nothing wrong had happened to them? How about new businesses that were born out of the pains of these trying times and have flourished over and beyond what some established businesses ever did before the pandemic-induced shutdown? While the magnanimity of the unfairness in the cold hard reality of you being cut off from your income stream, whether you were employed at a job or ran a business, must have been, or perhaps still is, a tough one to swallow. The reality is, you are still here. You may be down, my friend, but you are definitely not out. We belong to the dominant species in the planet, so we cannot be dominated by the circumstances, right? Let's get into the why, so that we can evaluate the reasons for that what. You must have already figured out the why. Some remained unaffected or even prospered during these times of turmoil and desperation, while some were served a rude awakening. And just humor me for a bit so that we can get on the same page. If you or a friend or a loved one received that rude awakening, whether it's an ex-job or in business, get excited because, my friend, you have been gifted with a unique opportunity to rise and shine in Economy 2.0. My heart weeps for you. But that would not solve the problem. My empathy will not flood your bank account with a credit balance, would it? Hang in there with me as we analyze the why together and get you to a point where you can reclaim your glory, your success, and position yourself to thrive in Economy 2.0. Think about this objectively, not emotionally, because you are a truth seeker, aren't you? Those who were retained at their jobs must have been delivering something of greater value than you were. They offered some skill that was either unique or difficult to be replaced by someone else in short order, without disruption to their employer's business. What do you think that was? They offered essential skills that were, at least in the mind of the employer, in high demand and low supply. And letting go of such talent would have caused them even more damage to their business. So, in order to compensate for a drop in their revenue stream due to the crisis, they had to terminate or furlough employees who only offered replaceable skills. Were you perhaps one of them that were let go because you offered a skill that could be easily replaced, compared, of course, to those who were retained? Perhaps you were not offering a differentiator as an employee compared to the rest who are retained in the perception of that ex-employer. Note that I mention the above in the past tense. Lessons learned, point taken at this present moment, will define for you if history will repeat in your life as an employee with a future employer, or if the future is poised for a different storyline. A different storyline for you, one that is filled with irreplaceable success and a sustained string of accomplishments. If you operated a business that was forced to shut down, why do you think your income stream dried up? Unless your business provided an essential product or service, you were mandated to close your doors. Unless you pivoted your business model to a different revenue channel, such as online or home delivery or curbside pickup, for example, in response to your standard channel drying up, you did not have an option but to close your doors. Perhaps you had to trudge along in a significantly reduced capacity and barely able to keep your lights on in your business. Customers pivoted to options other than your business because clearly you were not offering a product or a service that can be considered essential. Truth be told, perhaps you are not operating a differentiator in the perception of your market. Note here, I say the above in the past tense. The lessons learned, point taken, at this present moment will define for you if history will repeat in your life as a business owner, or if the future is poised for an alternate success story where your reimagined business model in Economy 2.0 is thriving and growing as you serve your customers with significantly higher value added products and services that they can't seem to get enough of. All right. Let's brace for the next steps. Now that we've defined the problem, i.e. not offering a differentiator at a job or a business in the perception of an employer or your business customers, and had the courage to objectively figure out the root cause of the problem without getting wrapped around our ankles with the frustrating symptoms that distract our rationality, it is time to dig into the who and the how. We've already talked about the what the problem was. We know why that problem occurred. And now, in the next episode, we will talk about the who and the how. Changing the perception is very important. But then one could fake a change in perception as well. Would you agree? What I will reveal in the upcoming session will show you how you can transform, not just change, the perception of an employer or your business customer with absolute authenticity when you learn and apply a skill that I will discuss in the next episode. Perception is one thing. Belief, however, is quite another state, another level of conviction. So why bother changing any perception when you can install a belief about your authenticity and become a no-brainer decision for an employer or customer to stay reliant on you for as long as you want? I will let you marinate a bit on those two pressing questions. The who you would solve the problem for, and the how you are going to figure out a way to solve that problem that we identified in this episode. And when I get back with you the next time in episode 2, I will share my thoughts with you, and perhaps we can compare notes, extract the cream of both our chains of thought, and forge ahead to slay what now seems to be a Goliath. Seems to be a Goliath. Well, that is all I got for this episode. If you know anyone who could benefit from this information, help me make an impact in their lives by sharing this message, this podcast, with your network. Sharing is caring, as you know. More so when what you share can benefit others. So I appreciate you listening to this podcast, and I would love for you to share it in your social networks so that others in your network can benefit from what I have to share. Well, that's all for now. This is Ghosh signing off from this episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this episode in the Crush It with Creativity podcast. We trust you enjoyed it just like Joy did, pouring his heart out to you. Should you feel this episode added value to you, we would love for you to share this episode with your friends and family in your social media networks so that we can impact other lives with our message. Ready to take on a Crush It with Creativity challenge for yourself and really crush whatever poses an obstacle for you stepping into your field of favor? Visit us at www.uniqueimpactability.com for details on the next challenge coming up and sign up for more information. Until the next episode, take care and keep crushing it with your creativity.